morning. Welcome to The Sound Healer. I'm Rasa, and today I'd like to go over vocals, how to incorporate your voice into your sound healing session. Is this for everyone? No. But I'd like to give you at least the opportunity to explore and to see if maybe this is something that you'd like to put into your sound healing practice. I do have an additional video that I posted earlier about how to use your voice to heal your own self. And in that, anyone can use their voice to help their practice and help develop and help so many things with the vocal empowerment. So I encourage you to look at that video. Today, we're going to be really focusing on how to use the voice in sound healing. For me, the voice is one of the most powerful tools available. I have a couple hundred reviews from my sound healings that I've done over these past years. And one thing that gets pointed out continuously is the effect of the voice, how the voice takes them into these different places, these different experiences, these different realms. My history with vocals is this. When I was young, I started singing, like many of us do. And I had an affinity with music. I also had a lot of lessons early on and a lot of music exposure. So I joined a church choir and even did some leads in some plays as a vocalist when I was just a kid. So that was my musical experience with vocals. Later, when I got into my early 30s, I traveled to India. I became a Vaishnava devotee. And I went to India to really see what is this mantra stuff? How can I connect my music, my love for music with my spirituality? And what I found was absolutely, and so much more. So I spent a lot of time in India. I learned how to do kirtan. I learned a lot of the different mantras and chants. And I really find so much value in bringing that into my practice. Before I was a sound healer, I actually did kirtan for quite some time. I was part of a band called Jivatma. We even played at Bhakti Fest and some different areas, different festivals around here on Maui. But it was a kirtan band focused mostly on mantra. So, and I really love that. It's so nice. It's good to have a call and response chanting with the people in the audience. It's just really magical. When I was in India, I do want to mark one moment that was unique in my life. I've done a lot of chanting, especially here on Maui. I've been in kirtan groups, etc. And this particular kind of experience happened once in my life. When I was in India, I ended up at some temple. I don't even know what temple it was. There were about 3 old men. Don't know anything about them, don't know their names, their status, anything. But there were 3 old men there chanting. Something about it inspired me. It called to my heart, to my soul, something really deep within. I sat with them, not knowing anything, not knowing them, but they were chanting, and I could connect in with the chanting that they were doing, the mantra that they were doing. So I sat and I chanted with them, closed my eyes. After some time, things started feeling a little different. When I opened my eyes, and this never happened before, the whole environment was different. I don't really know how to explain it, except for I think that people might experience some of these things on plant medicines, or or maybe just, I don't know, some kind of something happens to you in your life, maybe a major event. But I was in a different realm. Everything around me seemed different. It seemed alive. It wasn't inanimate. Everything seemed alive. Everything. It was like it was all breathing, all pulsing slowly, all moving together in concert. It was very unique. I've never had that experience anywhere else except for that particular moment. But many of the experiences I have here now, they're a lot, not as intense, but they're still very effective. So one of the mantras that I like to use in my sound healing practice all the time is the Gayatri mantra. I like to incorporate that with the gongs, and what I love about that is the client gets to experience the mantra. Whether they believe in it or not, it doesn't even matter. They get to experience it. And my intention with that particular mantra was to really kind of plant seeds for the soul. If the soul can recognize a particular pattern, the way I'm articulating the mantra, the way I'm saying it, if their soul somehow recognizes that, then for me, that's a benefit. It's like a seed planting. So that's one of the things that I incorporate into my sound healings is mantra and chanting, and I really like to share that with you today. Vocal toning. What is vocal toning? Well, basically, vocal toning is making vowel sounds. It can be A, Ah, E, O, U, any kind of those sounds. Ah, just use those sounds. Any vowel sounds are great. What I like about vocal toning is it's just very simple, right? You don't have to know any mantras. You don't have to know anything. You're just simply allowing yourself to make simple sounds and freely. And with vocal toning, it really allows for that practice of creating that sound, how to approach a sound, how to deal with certain notes. The benefits of vocal toning is that it really allows you to become familiar with your own voice, your own skills. It allows you to develop your articulation. And so I'm going to give you an example. Here's a way that I'm going to give you a note. It's an A note. Ah. 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 Nice and simple, right? Now I can elongate that. Ah. I can put a slur on that. Ah. You understand? So by using those toning notes, it really gives you the freedom to explore. Now I want to show you something, okay? When I first approach the note, ah, I can come pretty with a lot of intensity. Ah, okay, great. That's a great practice. Learn how to just be able to come out strong, ah, with your voice, okay? Now I can also approach it with a real soft approach. Ah, ah. If I add an H, watch how that affects the approach of the note ah, or the sound ah. Ah, ah. By adding the H, it gives that element of breath, okay? And for me, I love the breath in vocals. It just gives it a certain texture, a certain feel. That's why we like those smoky vocals when people are singing. So I like to add the H sound a lot of times to really influence the first articulation of the note. Hey, ho. Okay? So that's just something to note. And really practice. Go by yourself. If you're new to singing or you're shy or whatever it is, you want to be able to get out of the way of your own mind. So many of us have judgments about our voice, etc. All kinds of things, right? We're getting, oh, you sing terrible, or we were made fun of, or whatever it was. But really find that time and place by yourself where you can explore who you are. You know, if it makes you feel good when you're singing, that's the main thing. Now, whether that translates to someone else's experience, well, we'll have to see about that, right? That's their subjective experience. So who knows what they require? I know, again, in India, I want to share that moment because it was such a powerful one. The chanting that was going on, it wasn't beautiful singing. It wasn't like some melodic, beautiful voice that was mesmerizing, that captivated my attention, my senses. It wasn't that. So beauty, the way that we perceive beauty in the West anyways, regarding music, you know, it definitely has its place and it is very strong influence. But I want to speak on what is substantial. What is substantial may not always be the most beautiful. But when we are doing sound healing, it's something to consider because not everyone has that level of appreciation. And actually, I would guess that they actually don't. Western people are accustomed to having good tones and sounds that are easy to receive, easy to accept. It doesn't take them out of their box. It doesn't challenge them into finding a deeper meaning. So just things to think about. So in regards to long and short notes, you want to use a combination of both, okay? Use short notes, use long notes. Slur, try different things, okay? It could be, just see. What you want to stay away from when you're doing the sound healing session is repetition or overuse of repetition. In other words, if I'm going, ah, and then I do it again, ah, that's okay. But if I keep doing it, it may not be as received as if I add some variety. So in your delivery, just be mindful not to be too repetitious. And if you don't really have any musical background, study a song, okay? Look at the song, how the song was written. First, they create an introduction. Then there's a verse that's familiar in tone. Maybe they change the words, but the tone of it is very familiar. They lead you up. They give you the chorus, the big moment, and they bring you back down and repeat the whole thing again, okay? So study the movement of a song, and it'll give you a clue on how to create your own articulations with toning. I'm going to play you a little example with toning that I'm going to incorporate my guitar and just kind of give you an example of some free flow toning. So you get the idea. That's vocal toning. Have fun with it. Really explore and let that be your premise, your baseline for exploration, and really enjoy the process. Chanting is to sing or intone or to make a repetitive sound of some type, usually musical or melodic. It has some kind of rhythm to it. Chanting is a really, really powerful way to help them journey. I use a lot of shamanic chants, a lot of shamanic chanting. I also use mantra. As I mentioned, I had some time in India, and I really became attracted to using mantra. So with the chanting, I want to give you a little example. And I'm going to use repetition sparingly. So that's an example of chanting. I use chanting sparingly unless I'm doing mantras. With mantras, I might do a whole section that includes a particular mantra, and that's a little bit different. But with these general chants and these light chants, especially the shamanic chants, when I'm over people, I'll be invoking certain things depending on their intentions and things. So really, the feedback that I get is when they hear the drums and the chanting starts, it starts their journey. They usually go into that journey right with the drums. Now, something that I love to do that really helps this process is I'll use my drum and stay by myself and just kind of in a room as a meditation. When I did my shamanic studies, they talk about using the medicine drum as a way to enter into the different realms. So I'll use it, play it steady, I'll explore with different sounds, and really get out of my mind's way. That is the big thing. Can I tap into the creative realm, the creative process within me, which is what? Allowing whatever wants to come out without filter, without judgment, without thinking about things so much. Can I tap into that intention? I'm trying to access my soul. I'm trying to get into those deeper places. I'm trying to bring out the shadow, what's not being revealed, what's not so present and obvious. If I have that intention, I'm playing my drum. I'm also making the tones that seem to naturally invoke that and come out in that moment. You see, you're tapping in to the creative process, and you can call it channeling because you have an intention, you don't know what's going to happen, but you tap in and let that come through. So I really like chanting. I think it's very powerful, especially with a drum and other instruments. You don't have to use a drum, but it seems to really be powerful. Now, some people like to use light language, okay? And I'm not going to say that I'm an expert on light language, but what it appears to be to me is what I just said. It's like people are just opening up to their creative process, allowing, they have a specific intention or a general intention, but it is directed somehow. They're allowing whatever wants to come through, and they're expressing freely. And whether it's this or that or some, alien connection, who knows? It doesn't even matter. It really doesn't matter. That's just a story. But what is important is they're trying to allow something to come through that has a component of beauty and melody to it, and they're expressing it freely without the filter and self-judgment. So that is the important thing, okay? If you really want to get into the potency of chanting, and this is what I was talking about, that experience in India, it's the internal development. It has nothing to do with the performance musically. I mean, it does, right? Because people want to hear nice voices. So yes, you want to have that nice voice, at least for the general population, but the real medicine is in the substance behind it. So make yourself a good channel. One of the qualifications that they said for chanting that I was told when I was in India was this: if you want to be able to chant like the Maha Mantra or one of the Maha Mantras, okay, here's the qualification: humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others. If you can truly do that, then you are qualified, and that will increase the potency of your chants. So grab an instrument and have fun with it. Really try it and give it a chance and see what happens. Now mantras are specific. Mantras are used in chanting, and what I know about mantras, which isn't very much, is the ones that I know, they're all in Sanskrit, and they're the things that I learned in India. And mantras are very, very powerful. They're not just generalized. What I was told was, when I was in India, is the way that they pronounce the words, the letters, the Sanskrit alphabet, okay? It's not just some random thing. Everything is very specific. Like to make the sound S, what does that require? It requires your mouth and tongue to have a certain relationship with itself, right? It's a certain way that you breathe, you inhale, and then you let it out, and then you hold your lips a certain way, you hold your tongue in a posture position. Each one of those postures, okay, just like yoga, right? Each one of those postures has a specific value, meaning, and all kinds of things around it that we don't even think about. So when we say Shiva, Krishna, Om Namah Shivaya, those are all very specific mantras with very specific intention and dynamics around it. They produce different types of effects. So one of the mantras that I like to use during my sound healing is Om Namah Shivaya. And it's used to break down the illusions that people are currently experiencing. Mostly the illusions about themselves and others, the way they see the world, all the things that are not quite in check. You know, we call it Maya, right? Material vision. Well, there's a deeper vision than that. And so the mantra Om Namah Shivaya helps break down that illusion. And that's, you know, that's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to help others see who they are, who they already are. So if they have a false belief or negative belief about themselves, I'm trying to let them experience the mantra, maybe to help break that down, okay? But mantras are very important, and I'd like to give you a little demonstration of a mantra. Shiva Shiva. So that gives you an idea of the use of a mantra. Again, the mantra is really good for, the mantra really helps to deepen the connection of the soul, of the person to their own spirit, their own soul. To really bring out the potency of the mantra though, you know, it requires a lot of self-work. It's kind of like love. You can only give love as much as you've developed it for yourself inside. So if you don't have self-love, then what you're giving is kind of empty. It's a show. Whatever you have inside, that's what you can give. Mantra is the same way. Yes, we're saying and articulating these sounds, but the potency really depends on your own spiritual cultivation. It's directly in proportion to it. And I've also heard that it's also autocratic. So that in some cases, you don't have to be qualified. It'll come through if it's necessary in some time. It has its own sense of free will. So that's something that was shared in India, that the mantras and chants, they are autocratic. They can even descend in any moment and have their effect on people and things. So provide that opportunity, provide that moment. If you can incorporate vocals and mantras and toning and chanting into your sound healing, it might be really something. And feel free to send me a clip. If you have something you want to check out your own voice, send me a clip. Feel free to send me a clip. If you're not on my Facebook group, Sound Healing in Harmony, or the group that I belong to, then you can reach me there and send something to me on Messenger, and I'll check out your clip and I'll give you some feedback. Okay, no problem. Please feel free to do so. Some of the other things that can be utilized in sound healing is our breath, like this. I'll give you an example. It's funny, one time I was in Hana and I had a particular journey occur. It's with my partner at the time, went into some experience, and I started spontaneously making these sounds, these breathing sounds. Shh, sss, all kinds of different things like that. Something just happened and I started making these sounds, and after about half an hour, some channeling started happening. And I was like, that's pretty strange. I wasn't really expecting that. And it happened a couple different times. So it was really interesting. I ended up looking up those sounds. Shh, sss. What I found was that in the Taoist breathing, that's actually something. They use those sounds for healing. So I thought that was interesting, and I incorporate that now into my practice. Those sounds led me into some realm for whatever reason, so I bring them into my sound healing session Other sounds that you can make are like animal sounds, like I'm going to try and make a bird sound. Let's see. Hopefully you can hear this. Okay. So feel free to really explore yourself, find the different ways that you can express and make sounds and be creative, use them. Anyone can make a whisper sound or a shh, so you don't have to be a great vocalist to be able to incorporate your own version of sound. Find who you are, check it out though, just don't impose your own ideas on people, but see with them, how does this affect you? How does this make you feel? Get some feedback. Okay? You never know. Now, one of the things that I do want to mention that with my vocals, when I do sound healing, I use a sound system. And the reason why is because I'm so heavy in the vocals that I use things like compression, an effects processor, reverb, delay. And those are all terms on how to affect my natural signal and then how to alter it, how to articulate it, how to elongate it, how to create repetition at the end of a particular part of that phrase or note. So I'm going to give you one example with the effects processor so you can actually hear. I mean, you've already heard it, but ah, right? Nice note, no problem. Now, here's with the effects processing. And I find with a lot of the, all the popular vocalists that you're accustomed to hearing, they are all processed, every single one. And there's a reason for that. With the processing, the compression, it puts everything into a nice dynamic range so you don't have peaks and distortion and just, all kinds of wild tones going all over the place. It stays at a particular level, a certain range, and it keeps everything nice and really makes it nice and palpable for people to receive when processed. So just things to think about. I also want to say, right when I said that, I noticed also there's great time to not have any processing at all, just to use the raw voice. That raw, real voice, that acoustic voice without any processing, that is vulnerability, big time. Sometimes that level of vulnerability is so healing and powerful. Maybe the person isn't even perfect in their singing, or maybe they're having cracks here because they're so expressing such a deep emotion. And then that's the thing that really strikes our heart and gives us so much. So, again, what I share is just some ideas. I'm not an expert on anything. And, if you have good ideas or want to share some other information, please do. And again, if you want me to critique your own vocals, I am open to doing that. So you can find me on Facebook, Rasa Priya, or you can join the sound healing group, Sound Healing in Harmony, and catch me there and send me a message, send me a video. And I promise I will look at it. I will give you the honest truth and any encouragement that I can. Okay? So have a great day and happy sound healing, and thank you for all that you are doing. Aloha.